Hi, my name is Mary Carson Stiff, and I'm a certified floodplain manager at Wetlands Watch. I want to tell you about a huge change that's coming to the National Flood Insurance Program effective April 1st, 2022. This change is called Risk Rating 2.0. FEMA has modified how they're calculating flood insurance annual rates. This update is really necessary because the rating methodology has not changed since the 1970s. Here's the gist. The cost of flood insurance is increasing because the flood risk is increasing nationally. FEMA is using way better and more sophisticated data to determine the specific flood risk of an individual structure. FEMA is also making sure that some policyholders are not overpaying any longer for insurance, while also eliminating the grandfathering of policies. This will make the flood insurance program much more solvent. The impact nationally is that policyholders are going to begin to pay their full risk rate. What does this mean? Again, this is a national percentage. 23% of policies are going to decrease in costs annually, while 77% will increase. No policy on a primary residence will increase more than 18% each year, and no policy on a secondary or an investment structure will increase more than 25% each year. These increased maximums are leftover congressional rate caps from the Biggert-Waters and Grimm-Waters legislation back in 2013 and 2015. So let's talk about what the old rating system used to be. Old flood insurance rates were based on the zones as determined by FEMA's flood insurance rate maps, flood elevation projections within each individual flood zone, and building characteristics such as the foundation type and how high the structure is built above that flood projection elevation. Variable rates were really only set for structures located in the highest flood risk zones, also known as the 100-year flood zone, or the zones that have a 1% annual chance of flooding. If a structure has a federally backed mortgage and is located in one of these zones, then flood insurance is required. This fact of mandatory flood insurance is still effective today and will continue under this new change. If a property was located outside of these high-risk flood zones, an elective flood insurance policy could be purchased. These were called preferred risk policies, or PRPs, and they were generally around $500, even if they were located right next to a structure that was required to carry flood insurance because it was located in one of those high-risk zones. All right, so that was the old rating system. Let's talk about Risk Rating 2.0. The new rates are no longer based on the flood zones from the flood insurance rate maps. That's really the biggest change that you should know. Rates are now including multiple risk factors that are more structure specific. The goal is for policyholders to begin paying the full risk rate. So the new rates are based on the following characteristics. New and higher resolution projected risk data that includes a broader range of flood frequencies. The specific type of flood source for the structure, such as heavy rainfall, river class, or amount of storm surge. The structure's distance to a flooding source, such as a river, the ocean, or a bay. The structure's first floor elevation and foundation type. And this is really because it indicates whether or not the structure has the ability to withstand flooding without being damaged. And then finally, FEMA is including the full cost to rebuild a structure into the rate. This is really important to get at that equity issue that FEMA is trying to address. It helps remedy the problem where under the old system, two properties with the exact same flood risk, but a 2,000 square foot differential would be paying the exact same annual rate. So this is dealing with this unfair financial burden on property owners of much smaller structures with far less value. Because the new rating methodology is not based on flood zones, there is no such thing as preferred risk policies anymore, so no PRPs. Additionally, those previously grandfathered policies will no longer be subsidized, and new rates will be calculated based on this new rating methodology. So when does this new Risk Rating 2.0 go into effect? If you started a new policy on or after October 1st of 2021, it was written using the new rating method. This new policy was a full risk rate. The new rates are effective for everybody on April 1st, 2022. So if you have a policy that you've had with the National Flood Insurance Program for a year or more, you're going to start to see these new rates be phased in. This does not mean that you will get a new bill on April 1st of this year. Your bill will show the change when your policy renews. This is generally when you closed on your property when you first purchased it. If a new policy is initiated, it will be at full risk rate. So if you are selling your house, a new buyer would need to start paying what the flood insurance would cost at its full risk rate for your structure that you're trying to sell. If you are going to sell, a new buyer may be able to assume your existing policy, thereby locking in that capped 18 or 25% annual increase, which would be a really good option if you are looking to sell your property. I would just advise that you ask your agent for more information. So what are some frequently asked questions that Wetlands Watch has been receiving regarding Risk Rating 2.0? We've heard, what kind of costs should we expect? According to FEMA, no policy will cost more than $12,125 annually in the first year of Risk Rating 2.0, which is far less than the highest annual policy under the old methodology, which was almost $46,000. When will policies reach their full risk rates? So 25% of all policies in the National Flood Insurance Program will be paying their full risk rate in year one. 50% of all policies will pay the full risk rate by year 5, and 90% by year 10. So those incremental 18 and 25% capped increases will, for the most part, stop by year 10. Note, unfortunately, a property's full risk rate seems to be a moving target from what we can understand about the FEMA data and the rollout. This full risk rate could be subject to increases over time. FEMA has not provided any specific data on how the changes will happen and when. What are the impacts to the community rating system, or the CRS program? This is one of our favorite questions because it has one of the most positive responses and answers. One of the best outcomes of Risk Rating 2.0 is that all flood insurance policyholders are now going to be eligible to receive the CRS discounts on premiums annually that are earned by participating CRS communities. This means bigger benefits and better distribution of those premium discounts across the community. We do not have data yet on how the total CRS savings per community will change under Risk Rating 2.0, but we are going to monitor this issue very closely and provide that new updated data to local governments as soon as we have it. Learn more about the CRS program and whether your community participates on Wetlands Watch's website. finally, we just want to recognize that Risk Rating 2.0 is a massive overhaul of a program that hasn't been updated in 50 years. There will be some challenges with the rollout, and we may not know all the answers, and FEMA may not know all the answers. So please just follow us for updates on Wetlands Watch's website, and we will be tracking the rollout very closely and provide updates as we know them. Thanks so much.